Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me for part 2 of this HealthFlix webinar on respiratory resilience and immune support. We're still in this dreadful time of the coronavirus outbreak, and I just wish all of you who are at home, isolated or ill, or having loved ones who are ill, I wish you all the best with that. And I hope that some of the tools that I and other HealthFlix tutors and talks are giving you a bit of inner resources to use this time at home to build some skills, to build your resilience and to support your health. In the first session that I taught on Sunday, we explored the idea that if we do yoga practice, there's a really good scientific evidence base to show that it will balance the autonomic nervous system, and in particularly bring down the stress levels from too much stimulation of the sympathetic side of that system and boost up the parasympathetic response to bring yourself back into balance. And we know that when the body is in balance, the immune system is much less likely to be suppressed in its effective operation, and things like inflammation markers can decrease, and you just become more physically resilient, and your health is better. So in that way, yoga can really support you and give you the best chance of being well or recovering from illness at this time. The second way in which I'm working is that by deepening the breath, we're going to use some breathing muscles that aren't often used. If you're just breathing shallowly, you're probably just using your diaphragm. And with the full breath we practiced the other day and we'll do again today, you really work all your breathing muscles, and this helps to improve posture. It helps to improve the strength of the breathing muscles, the muscles of respiration, and that is also really helpful. And last thing before I start, it was lovely to see in the Queen's broadcast yesterday that she advised us all to use this time for a reflection, prayer and meditation. So there was the meditation word, so it's endorsed by Her Majesty, which is great. Okay, so if you'd like to be comfortable, you can do this sitting in a chair or on your mat. If you're on a mat, please support the hips. Make sure you can sit with your spine upright and you are not rounding the back. I'm going to create lots of space here. If you are happy closing your eyes, close your eyes. Otherwise, just have your eyes downcast. And take a moment to tune into your body and exactly how you feel right now. This is always our starting point for our yoga practice. And there's not going to be strong practice in this session, but you're still going to look after yourself, and you're not going to do anything that might cause you any harm or might be contrary to any medical conditions you may have. So please, it's all about self-care at the end of the day. So there's no point doing things that don't feel right or which could be potentially not good for you. And then begin to tune into your breath. And unless your nose is blocked, we're going to do all our breathing in and out through the nose. And in your own time, over the next 2 or 3 breaths, begin to stretch the breath. One of my favorite teaching tools is this little breathing ball if you want to open your eyes for a moment. And it just gives a visual representation of the breath and what we're looking for. And we're looking for this smoothness of inhale and exhale, and a real feeling of effortlessness in the breath. And your breath may feel a little bit jerky and jagged like this, and the out breath may have some tension in it and not be smooth. And that's absolutely fine. You're just going to work on your breath as much as you can. And then we'll deepen the breath and activate the breathing muscles. I'm not going to go through everything that I went through in the first session, So we're just going to do the hand movements instead. And whether you saw the first session or not, the first part of the breath is right down into the lower ribs, and that you can keep the tummy fairly soft for this. And the feeling is that as we begin to breathe in, there's this feeling of expansion, which is mirrored by the hands moving away from each other. And then the next third of the breath, we begin to activate our external intercostal muscles, and we feel the rib cage lifting. So we go to this, and then we feel this lifting movement. And just the last maybe 10 or 20% of the breath, right at the top of the lungs, some neck muscles contract to lift the top of the ribs and the collarbone and make that little bit of additional space for your fullest in-breath. And then the exhale is going to be long and slow and smooth. So we'll be breathing in like this. Inhale and long exhale. Inhale, expand, lift and up. And exhale smoothly down. So just feel as if you are connecting to your own breath. And although we have these three sections to the breath, we're not trying to divide it up. We're letting one merge into the other. So we have this experience of fullness of our breath. Our breath is fully expressing itself, and all of our breathing muscles are working. And when we breathe like this, deeply and slowly, we're reducing the number of breaths per minute. And as we do that, that has some really profound effects on the physiology of the body and on that calming down that we talked about at the beginning, and that rebalancing of the body. You're just working out stress hormones and that stress response from your body. So at the end of the next exhale, just release the arms a little bit and just stretch out your fingers in front of you. Make the fingers as wide as you can and as long as you can. And then on an exhale, just softly close the fists, keep the thumbs on the outside, and then inhale, stretch the hands again. And exhale, softly close the fists with the thumbs on the inside. And then relax the hands and rotate the wrists. And rotate back in the other direction. Let the arms hang. Breathing in, take the shoulders up. And long exhale, taking the shoulders back and down. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back and down. My chair's a bit creaky, for which I apologize. This is how it looks from the side. And then we're going to bring the fingertips onto the top of the shoulders and just do an even bigger movement to get into every bit of range of movement that we have that is pain-free and comfortable for you in the shoulders. When we're under stress or just living through worrying times, we tend to hold tension in the body and mental tension in the mind. And the shoulders are probably the number one place in the body where that physical tension is felt most keenly. So give the arms a shake, soften the shoulders, bring the palms together. We did this one in the first class. We're going to do this one again. So simply breathing in to open the chest and breathing out to bring the palms together. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And breathing in, opening the shoulders and breathing out. Very nice. And then this one's slightly different. We're going to breathe in and we're going to take the arms up like this, like cactus arms. And this gives us an opportunity to draw the elbows back and to create a little bit of back bend as we breathe in. You want to feel that your shoulders move back and towards each other behind the body. The chest is opening, and this work is very much in the thoracic spine, not in the lower back or the neck. We're not going to throw the head back, just going to open that part of the chest. And then as we exhale, we're going to take the hands onto the thighs and we're going to fold into a forward bend. So breathing in, coming up, drawing the elbows back, and breathing out, taking the hands forwards and bowing down. And just once more, finding the back bend, really drawing the shoulders back, opening the heart, lifting the heart, and breathing out, taking the hands forward. And this time staying in this forward fold. And from the side, you're doing this on the mat, stretch the legs out for this forward fold. If you're staying cross-legged, you still get a nice stretch. It's more into the hips. If you are stretching your legs out from the mat, then give yourself enough support and enough knee bend so you don't end up rounding the back too much. We want to go forwards like this with a nice straight spine. And then if you're a bit more flexible, you can bring the forearms onto the thighs or even hang the thighs forwards. Tuck the chin in, let the head come forwards a little bit so the back of the neck is naturally stretched. And then what we'll do here is breathing in, just take the right shoulder a little bit more forward than the left to stretch the sides of the body, and exhale, bring it back. And inhale, stretch the left shoulder forward, and exhale, bring it back. Just stay in that forward position for another couple of breaths. And in the forward position, feel as if you're really rooting the hips back down to the chair. So the hips are going back towards the space behind you. The crown of the head is going forward. Your spine feels long. It's out of gravity. It's being lengthened. And the lower back should feel really long and feel like it's being released when you're in that position. That's great. And then on your next inhale, just make the back flat again and then come back up. I'll just do one more. Inhale, drawing the elbows back, and exhale, releasing down. It's really odd when you teach on Zoom and you see a mirror image and you think one hand is wrong and you try and correct yourself and go the wrong way. So sorry about that. So we're gonna take ourselves into a little twist that's slightly different to the one we did in part one. So we'll start with the hands together in front of the heart, sit nice and tall. And then as you exhale, you're going to take the shoulders and the head in opposite directions. So if you take the shoulders around clockwise to the right, you're going to turn the head to the left. And as you breathe in, you'll come back to center. And as you breathe out, you'll twist in the other direction. So just keep that going for a few breaths. These contrary twists are very helpful to release the spine, release the neck. And when the spine is free and mobile, and we'll do a little bit more on that in a moment, the breath is freer as well. So a stiff spine is also associated with a restriction in the breath, because when you breathe in, your spine makes subtle and beautiful undulating movements as the rib cage expands and contracts. So next time you come back to center, just take a little bow forwards to bring the spine back to neutral. And then we're going to do a little bit of work in the cat, and we're going to extend the work that we did in part one in the cat. So there's a couple of options here. If you've been in a chair, if you can, come onto your feet, bend the knees and hold the back of the chair. And this will be your back bend position, and you can just begin when you're ready. And then as you exhale, you can let the legs lengthen and you can round the back and tuck the chin in. Breathing in, bring the spine back to neutral and then into a slight back bend, and exhale. So if you are working on the mat, you'll be on all fours. Apologies that only my back is visible here, but you can imagine that. The knees are underneath the hips, the hands in front of the shoulders. And there's also another position you could do, which is to use the front of the chair to support the back. And this is good if you have any wrist or shoulder issues and you don't want to take weight into those joints. If you are on the floor, please remember to pad the knees, because the knees are not at all well designed for weight bearing, and we don't want to cause any discomfort there. And then we're going to add a little bit of strengthening in here, and that knee padding, if you're working on the floor, becomes even more important, because you're going to bring the knees together, keep the hands where they are, and as you breathe in, stretch one leg away from you, but try not to move the pelvis. So we're not doing a twisting movement, we're just extending the leg. And if you're doing that on all fours, that'll be pretty similar to what I just showed you. And if you're working from a chair, just making sure you're not going to kick anything behind you, you've got the space to do it. Breathing in, and then as you breathe out and bring the leg back, you can do a little bit of the cat exhale position. So we'll work the same leg round about 3 times, and then we'll change legs. So just keep going with that for a moment. So the cat mobilizes more than 70 joints in the body. We said that in part 1. So it's a practice really you can't do without. It's super effective. And when we add in this leg raising, then we are beginning to strengthen the glutes as well, and that they play a part in particularly lower back support as well. So that's why we're doing that. We're adding a bit of strengthening into our resilience work. And then round about now, you'll probably be finished with your cat. So we're going to come into a downward facing dog. And again, this works really, really well using the back of the chair with the knees bent. You can get a lovely long straight spine. You can use the weight of the body releasing down towards the floor to open the shoulders, and you can make your back really nice and flat. If you're doing that on the floor, you're probably familiar with this pose. And again, you can't see all of me, but my knees are bent, the heels are not forcing their way down to the floor. Because the main thing we want to do here is find that length in the spine and find free breathing in the pose, and we don't want to go into that shoulders lifting rounded back position. You could also use the front of the chair to support you in a dog if you had the shoulder or wrist problems we mentioned earlier. So that is great. We'll just finish this little bit of posture work with a balance. It's impossible for me to teach yoga classes at the moment without including a balance. So we're going to do just a slight variation on the heron balance, which you remember was like this, and lifting one leg and exhale, releasing. And you can use a chair or a wall if you need support. And then for a bit of variation, if you did this one last time, then we can bring the palms together or extend the arms out and do a little variation on tree where we bend the knee. I'm bending the right knee, turning the knee out and placing the toes of the bent leg on top of the foot of the standing leg. So just a low, easy tree balance. And that one can hold for 2 or 3 breaths and then change sides. And if you're working with the heron, then just do alternate legs, and then you will be working evenly. Then after the next breath or two, coming out of the balance and coming back down, either sitting cross-legged if you're working on the floor, or back into the chair. And again, we're going to come into this forward bending position, not quite so far this time. This is our final strengthening practice, as well as bringing a bit of alignment back to the midline of the body. I'll show you this from the side. So from this position, I'm going to arch the back and just hover the hands slightly. So because I've tilted the spine forward in gravity, and I lift the hands, I'm having to use back muscles all the way up either side of the spine, erector spinae and others, to maintain posture. And this is going to strengthen the back and give me more strength to maintain an upright spine and gravity. So if you're still there, just holding that for another couple of breaths. It's a really simple strengthening practice you can do. If you're working on the mat, you can take this as far as lying completely on your front and then just lifting the chest away from the floor, hovering the hands, and just being careful. When you're on the mat, the temptation is to throw the head back to look forwards. Resist that, tuck the chin in and just look down. You just want to lift the body slightly off the floor, lift the upper chest slightly off the floor, and that will work all those muscles in gravity as the weight of your body is lifted off the mat. So hopefully everybody has released from that. We're going to come back and just do 2 breathing practices to end this session. And the breathing practice we're going to do is the long in-breath and the even longer exhale. And we're going to use a visualization where we are breathing up from the ground and breathing down from the ground. We did that in part 1 as well, and I'm finding it to be a very useful practice at this time. It gives you an immediate sense of grounding and steadiness if you're feeling a little bit wobbly with all the awful news that we're surrounded by at the moment. So do come into that comfortable position, rest the hands, relax the shoulders, tuck the chin in and close your eyes or take your eyes downcast. Reconnect to your breath and take a moment to notice exactly how you're feeling after that short practice. And then begin to lengthen your in-breath into the comfortable, fullest breath you can find. Imagining the breath filling the bottom, the middle, and the top of the lungs, followed by a long, effortless exhale, making that exhale as long as you comfortably can. Breathing up from the ground, all the way up through the soles of the feet, or if you're on the mat, up through the pelvis to the crown of the head, and a long exhale all the way back down to the ground. And we're going to do 5 more breaths like this, working at your own pace. No strain on the breath. An easy fullness of inhale and a long, relaxed exhale down to the ground. And at the end of your next exhale, I'm going to make a little transition into our final breathing practice, which is a very simple version of alternate nostril breathing. So even if you've never done this practice before, it should be accessible to you. And if you're an experienced practitioner of yoga breathing practices called pranayama, I still recommend using this very simple version because it's highly effective. Again, we're breathing in through the nose unless the nose is blocked, and we're breathing out through alternate nostrils. And again, you may find that one or both of your nostrils is blocked. So you might be having to use the mouth, and that's absolutely fine, but you're still going to imagine that you're breathing in through both nostrils and exhaling through alternate nostrils. And that's because in the yoga tradition, the breath is not just the physical breath, it's something else as well. It's subtle energy. So the visualization is still doing the practice. So as you breathe in your next inhale, taking a full breath, if you can, through both nostrils. And then when you're ready, you're going to bring the index finger up to close the left nostril, and you're going to exhale through the right. As soon as you're ready to breathe in, just release the hand down and breathe in through both. Nice full breath. And then close the right and exhale through the left. Just continue with that practice, breathing in through both, exhaling through alternate nostrils. And please remember, there's still no strain on the breath. So because we are halving the airway for the exhale by closing one nostril, that's how we achieve the longer out breath when we're doing alternate nostril breathing. But it can feel, if you're new, that is a long time to wait before your next inhale. So just breathe in when your body tells you. You don't want to have that stress thought, when is the next in-breath happening? So find a really comfortable, easy rhythm for you. Always inhaling through both nostrils and exhaling through alternate. It helps to have the eyes closed for this practice if you're comfortable to do that, or if not, just have the eyes forward and downcast. And just do one more round, inhaling through both, exhaling through the right, inhaling through both, and ending with an exhale through your left nostril. And when you've done that, releasing the hands down, and again, taking a moment to check in, to notice exactly how you're feeling. And then blinking, open your eyes. Thank you for joining me for this class on respiratory resilience and immune support, part 2. I hope you enjoy watching all the talks and classes on HealthFlix. They are all available on YouTube, so you can use them again and again. And there are so many taking place. I've got a backlog of talks to watch. I'm sure you have too. And remember to keep practicing, keep that self-care going in these difficult times. And I wish you the best of health and happiness during what is an incredibly challenging environment for all of us.